Fred,
good to see you, Michael.
thank you for being on the program. Before I ask you a series of questions, when we finish this interview, just as I finish it, I'm going to share the special relationship that exists between you and me, something you and I are cooperating with. But first of all, you've been retired how many years as a professor?
Well, since '88, almost 20 years.
And since then, you've given up painting?
Oh no, I've submerged myself in it.
Submerge yourself.
Yeah.
And there's a gallery in San Mateo, I think, that shows your work?
It's a co-op 1870 art center in Belmont, where there are 27 artists, which, by the way, are having open studios this very weekend. So look up 1870 Art Center in Belmont, and you can see 27 artists.
I have to go in there sometime.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to present a series of paintings, okay, and then I'd like to ask you a series of questions about these paintings, and we'll tap into your vast knowledge of history, of art, and making great paintings. So, when my great team puts up a first painting, here we go. First of all, who is the artist of this painting?
That is a young Fred Holle.
Fred Holle.
Very young and angry Fred Holle.
Okay. What am I looking at? Can you categorize it?
Yes, I can. This was during the. This was done in the late 50s. It's a painting titled Anagram. It's an abstract expressionist painting. We were very influenced by some wonderful artists like Willem de Kooning and Philip Guston at that time, and most of us were doing better de Koonings than he was doing at the time. These paintings are motivated by subjective emotional responses. It was also called action painting at one time, and it's in the romantic tradition, meaning it's based on adventure, an adventurous attitude. It's based on a love of the pigment.
Okay. Well, that's interesting, and it's based on subjective thoughts, thinking?
Response.
What's that mean?
Well, let's put it this way. A classicist artist, that's somebody like Leonardo da Vinci, thinks and then acts. A romantic artist like Willem de Kooning acts and then thinks. In other words, of course, then you think and act, and pretty soon you're all doing the same thing. But the action painting was done principally to emote and get the sense of gesture, a muscular, kinesthetic response to the paint.
When I looked at it, for a moment, I thought it was a little bit of a caveman type art.
No.
But I didn't see any antelopes or...
No, it wasn't that. It's a non-objective painting.
Non-objective.
Non-objective, yeah.
All right. Can we bring up another painting? All right. Now, I know this is another one of your paintings.
Yeah, this is an older, more exhausted Fred Holle.
So this is not an expressionistic?
It is. It is an expressionist painting. It's the title of it is "Consider the Human Hand," and it's basically a statement about ennui, boredom, and this character is trying to figure out what to do with the rest of his existence.
And by looking at contemplating his hand, that connotates...
Well, it's what's there. It's like contemplating one's navel, you know, I mean, that sort of thing.
All right.
It's meant to be a statement about boredom. And
okay. I want to be sure I understand what category. I think you might have said it, but would you say it again?
Well, I'm an expressionist, but I'm not a non-objective painter here. These paintings are started without knowing who's going to show up. When I open with a gesture, and it's like looking at a cloud formation. You see figures eventually in a cloud formation. I see these people in the gestures that develop.
So 2 points. You said this is an object painting.
Yes, it has subject matter.
It has subject matter.
But I'm still an expressionist because my impulse is intuitive.
So one way of categorizing a painting is whether it has an object, recognizable object or not.
That's
the other thing, you start to talk about your own approach to painting. Am I correct? When you get up in the morning and you decide to paint, you may all that is at the forefront of your mind is maybe starting to make a gesture, a hand, a facial, and then from then on, you have no idea where it goes? Or
Well, no, I start without any concept in mind. I'll gesture for maybe a minute and a half and then start looking for somebody who wants to appear. And that doesn't always happen that easily, you know. But
so you're looking for some figure,
some image, yeah,
to appear out of the canvas, out of the paints.
Well, I like these paintings they personify contemporary human attitudes, basically. They personify.
Right.
I give them a being. You know.
I'm going to come back to that. Here we have another one
And
of
this
your
is,
paintings. I like this one.
Yeah, this is called Poo Perplexed. It's a kind of a Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh.
It's a satirical title. This was when I was going to the white ground canvases. All the white you see is the basic prime canvas, and then the painting itself is done with palette knife, brush, and brush, and done fairly rapidly. You do these what we call alla prima, one sitting, and you do about 10 of them at one time. You move down the line, and you throw 8 of them away, and then you keep 1 or 2 that came off.
I like it. Can I just ask, categorize it?
That's an abstract expressionist painting. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say this categorization, I'm a fanatic on it because I believe if you can categorize something, you can eliminate half of one's confusion.
Absolutely. I agree with
Descartes, by the way, said if you can define it, you can get rid of half of it. But if you put the two together, I think you're good. How about another painting?
you. Okay.
Another painting. Oh, and I know who made this painting. And
This looks like a Harry Cohen to me.
yes, a mutual friend of ours,
Very
an
well.
artist. How do you categorize this painting?
Well, Harry is a tremendously diverse artist. He's one of the finest painters I know. The paint is part of his body. When he uses paint, it's an extension of his hand. And this happens to be a little more geometric than the Harry that I first knew, who did subject matter in his paintings, but still had the abstract character to them. This gets more geometric, and it has a little sense of what should I say, conscious intellect about it.
Okay, I selected this painting for the, and can you take off from this painting Mondrian, what he does?
Mondrian was, and here we use another term, Mondrian was not a romantic, he was a classicist. A classicist is somebody who is very cerebral, that is, every part of the painting is dealt with on a very conscious level. And Mondrian, of course, his paint was done in a very specific way. As a matter of fact, they say he used black tape in order to lay a line onto the canvas, and then he would look at it for half an hour and then move it a half an inch and decide that was a better place for it.
Okay, more on categorizing. There is no object in Harry's painting per se. There's no object in a Mondrian.
In both cases,
So,
yeah.
what does that make it?
Well, that means that form, there's 2 aspects of any painting, form and content. In both cases, there is no content. It's all form. The subject matter is the form. And that's true of Mondrian, and that's true of Harry in that particular case.
Okay, let's take another look at a painting. This is one of your paintings.
Yes.
And
This,
categorize it again, please.
well, this is a little more classicist oriented because this painting was done. It's titled Requiem. It was done on the death of a friend, a very dear friend, and it was done actually from a drawing of a model named Tim. But Tim had that look about him, that solemn pathos, and so I used Tim as my subject. And I don't usually paint this representationally.
Can I just ask, life has a beautiful side to it and a dark side to it, right?
Absolutely.
Which side do you like to paint?
I guess I tend to like the dark side. Yeah.
Good. All right. Now, first of all, I want to thank you for something you've done for me. As you know, I'm producing a book called Everyday Encounters with the Great Classical Composers through personal stories and art. And I went to you because I needed an artist to write about possible influence Satie's work had on the artist. And I'm going to bring up now the painting that you apparently painted a long time before I was even writing this book. And tell us briefly what did Satie do to motivate you to make this painting?
Okay, this one, this was an earlier, I work with an airbrush, freehand airbrush, and this was one of my early experiments with it. And I heard a piece by Satie called La Belle Excentrique, and it's a wonderful, hilarious, and kind of slightly insane piece of music. So I call this painting La Belle